Hey, welcome to Living in the Next Chapter. Today I have with me Tracy Carnes, and we're going to be talking about her book. If you want behind-the-scenes access to Sundance Film Festival, and I got a great place for you to go to meet my guest at the local saloon. Yeah, all that's here. And have you ever had a blinking Twinkie? Yeah, that's a thing. Here on Living the Next Chapter. Here we go. If you're looking for ways to promote your book, if you're looking for ways to connect with an audience and get out there in front of everyone, you're in the right spot. Tracy Carnes is here. Here we go.
So Hostess donated 1,000 Twinkies. And the imprint company had these little small round stickers, little oval stickers with a red blinking light and the name of the film Sundance 2005 on them. And so we had the bright idea to stick the stickers on the Twinkies. And it created so much buzz around Sundance that everybody wanted a blinking Twinkie.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. My guest today has an equal passion for something that I love. And if you're watching video, you might see behind me, I got a few Coke items. My wife and I have been collecting Coca-Cola memorabilia for many years. And when I spoke to my guest in our little pre-interview chat, this came up as a topic, and I got some beautiful pictures of some of the awesome items that my new friend here has at her place. And I just want to welcome Tracy to the podcast. And we're going to talk about her books and all the great things happening in her life. Welcome, Tracy, to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And you, like I said, you sent me some photos and you made me very happy when I got to see what you had hanging around at your place. And that was so kind of you. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about, not Coca-Cola, that's not the podcast today. We're here to talk about your books. There it is. The Darlings
of Sundance.
Awesome. Okay, so, for people who are like, Sundance, that sounds familiar. Yeah, it's the film festival, right?
It is the film festival, that very one.
Nice. Okay, so where did the idea for the Darlings of Sundance come to put this into book form?
I started going to Sundance in 2005. That was my very first year, and didn't know how to navigate it or anything, and kind of just jumped right in. Saw a bunch of films that year. Made some had some lifelong friends that I went with, and I met a guy. There's a bar that everybody kind of hangs out at Sundance called the No Name Saloon. And it's been there since like the 1800s. It's just great, really, really cool bar. And, I had wanted to blog about it, and we got to talking, and he said he had a publicist, and, he wasn't really doing as good a job. And I said, you know what, if you need some help, I'll volunteer. I'm not scared of anything. And, I started helping him. And he had a movie called Love Ludlow. And that person that had the film, his name is David Patterson. And he just kind of needed a little help. And I started networking with him, and his movie wasn't opening until almost the very last day of the festival. And movie distributors go home on a Wednesday of the festival, and his was opening on Thursday. So, and he had no press screening, nothing. And so we started going to some of the parties and networking events that they have at Sundance. Sundance is just more than just a film festival. There's a lot of parties, networking opportunities, convention lounges, all these kind of things. So we kind of hit the ground running and started kind of trying to gather some buzz for his film. And he had partnered with a company that did like imprinting, like note cards and stickers and T-shirts and hats and all in exchange to blog his experience at Sundance. And so I had some of that, and while I was giving it out and helping him, he had a motif in his film with a Hostess Twinkies. So Hostess donated 1,000 Twinkies. And the imprint company had these little small round stickers, little oval stickers with a red blinking light and the name of the film, Sundance 2005, on them. And so we had the bright idea to stick the stickers on the Twinkies. And it created so much buzz around Sundance that everybody wanted a blinking Twinkie. And so, I mean, people were coming around, and I had been going to the box office every day to pick up tickets because people exchange tickets. Pretty much all the movies sell out, but then people start exchanging tickets for other things.
Okay.
And then they start sharing them around. And so every day I would go pick up tickets because he couldn't get his cast and crew in to the film. He didn't have enough tickets. And so I said, well, I'll figure this out. And I did. I got to know all the ladies at the box office. So they would hold tickets for me. So nice. I kind of had a little wad of tickets in my backpack. I had some T-shirts, a couple of hats, and I'm sitting at a movie premiere. I'm really tired. It's 9:00 at night after, hadn't slept, a long day. And my friend elbowed me and said, Roger Ebert's sitting behind us. And I went, Roger Ebert, what? And pulled a ticket and a ball cap out, went, introduced myself, told him there was no press screening. He looked at his schedule and he says, no, there's not. And I said, here's a ticket. We'd love for you to come. Here's a ball cap. Thank you very much. And that was the end of that. And he came. He saw, he blurbed it. And if David says if he hadn't blurbed it, he wouldn't have gotten a distribution deal. Wow. But because it was crickets, and then all of a sudden it came out in the Chicago Sun-Times, about his movie, and then he got a distribution deal, and that was pretty much the reason. And it was all because I was tired and I was slightly drunk from the free Stella Artois in the Stella Artois tent, and so I had a little liquid courage. But yeah. I bought Roger Ebert a movie ticket. And so that's my claim to fame. And I'm going to stick to it.
I love it.
I bought Roger Ebert, and I have a picture. I should have pulled the picture up. I have a picture of David with Roger Ebert holding Twinkies.
I would love for that photo. We could put that with the podcast and let people see that as well.
I took the picture. So I'm not in it, but my buddy is. And so that kind of started me down the Sundance rabbit hole. And then for the next few years, I started going, and we got better at it, where we were on the list to all the parties. We were going to films. We were schmoozing. I've been to, I've met Robert Redford, at his party. I kind of did it all. And I just kind of thought, Sundance would make a great setting for a book. Mm. And I tend to write what I know. Mm. And so I kind of set an author into this book with, as my experience, and patterned most of the characters off of some of the people that I knew and hung out with, including 2 cinematographers. And so I made them kind of one character, and I set it among filmmakers, an actor, a starlet, a film writer and director, a publicist, and bodyguards, and they go to Sundance. And so the whole novel takes place pretty much through the whole festival. So every day there's something going on in the festival. So every chapter is a day at the festival. So I just wanted to give, readers kind of a glimpse into, a little bit of my Sundance, and some of my stories are in it. And, this is not exactly, the book is not exactly, my real experience at Sundance, because, I didn't get to stay in a big mansion, and I didn't get to stay, with a big time, movie actor, or anything like that. But I just kind of wanted to, give people a feel of what it's like to be at Sundance. And that's how I did it.
So anyone who loves movies or anything to do with movies or Sundance in particular would love this book.
Yeah, and I had a book signing there, and I mentioned a bookstore in the book, and so I actually had a book signing at the bookstore there at Sundance during this year's Sundance. And so my buddy Dave, who had the movie in 2005, he came up, and another buddy of mine came in from Los Angeles, and we got a condo together, and so we did a panel at Dolly's based on a lot of the things that were going on in the book about filmmaking, about, the things that it takes, to try to get your movie done at Sundance, just all the networking, just everything about it. And the things that filmmakers or first-time filmmaker mistakes are made. Those are the things. So we did a really good panel, and David Patterson, who the next year, since he had gotten the distribution deal, he had been talking to Disney, and he adapted his mother's book for Disney and Warner Home Media. And that particular book was his mother's, and it's Bridge to Terabithia.
Wow. Really?
So Catherine Patterson is his mom. And so, he was on my panel, and then Tim Harms, who had a short at Sundance and has also had a feature at Sundance and is a friend of ours. And he was also on the panel. He does a lot of work for Neil LaBute, the playwright.
Okay, yeah.
And so he's produced a lot of Neil's films and been an assistant to Neil. And he also has films in his own right. And so we just sat and talked about the Sundance experience there at Sundance this year. And it was just an amazing panel, and hope to go back next year and do it all over again.
Do you see big changes every time you go to Sundance compared to the year previous?
Yes. And this particular year was the first Sundance after the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah.
So the last Sundance was 2020. And so this was the first one back, and it was very light. Usually I have so much swag, and swag is just every time you go to a party, they give you something, whether it's, water bottles. I've got thermoses, hats. I've got all of this stuff, and usually I have to go to the UPS office to have it sent home because I can't take it on a plane. It's so much stuff. And then shampoos, Botox coupons, thermoses, t-shirts, hats, just book bags and I've had messenger bags. I've had all of it, and I would have to send it back UPS. I didn't have to do that this year. I had very, very little swag, not much gifting. Usually they have gifting suites. There wasn't much gifting. It was just very light and very kind of laid back. All the lounges were just kind of laid back, and it was a little different. I hope next year will be a little bit bigger. We just think some of the parties weren't happening this year that we really liked and always looked forward to. Mm-hmm. And we think it's because they didn't want to get sued if there was an outbreak caused by their party. And so it was very, very light this year.
Yeah. So what really excites you about the next Sundance when you start thinking about it and it's coming up on your calendar? Is there something that you always love to do, or you have on your calendar when you get there that's like, I have to do this thing every time I go?
Well, usually we all kind of come in together, all of us as a group, within a few hours of each other at the airport so that we can all ride together. We usually get, we call it a limo, but really it's just a big black SUV van. Yeah. To take it up to the condo, and it's cheaper, than taking the super shuttle. And we go that way, and then we kind of get situated in the condo. And the first thing we always do is we go to the No Name Saloon and hang out. And it's just kind of It's a really cool bar. It's just a lot of fun. And we just sit, we drink beer, we eat, we just kind of get our, our excitement gets going, and we just kind of hang. And then the other thing, and he didn't have it this year, and he emailed me and said it was kind of an end of an era. A very big entertainment attorney out of New York who has negotiated major deals at Sundance always has a house party. And it's always called the after party. And it starts about 11 p.m. and goes to about 6 a.m. every single day of the festival. Every day.
When do people sleep?
We don't. A lot of coffee. A lot of coffee is drank. And it's a great place to network. You see celebs come in and out because it's just kind of a safe place. And he would always have instruments, like either down in the basement or, up in a big great room, drum kit, guitars, bass, tambourines, piano, keyboard, all of it, the whole works, so that when people would come to the party, and a lot of them would be musicians, they'd jam.
Nice.
And I have seen many star come through there. One night, I was even serenaded by Issei Morales.
Oh, wow.
And Issei Morales played the brother in La Bamba, and then went on to do a whole lot of other movies. And I met him at Sundance, and so we went to the party one evening, and he picked up the guitar and started singing. He's an amazing musician.
Yeah.
And just people coming in and out, whether it's films that the attorney would do or what, but very few people actually knew the address, and I thought very privileged to be included in the party. And I had an A-list celebrity come up to me at a party and ask me, "Hey, do you happen to have the address? I heard you have it." And I said, yes. And I said, I know that he had negotiated a deal in one of his films. And I said, yeah, I think he won't mind if you come by. And I texted him the address.
Wow. That's a great story. I love that.
I have a lot of these little stories like that. And, and I just thought, gosh, it'd be really cool to include them in the book. And so, so that particular entertainment attorney changed his name, but he's in the book. Yeah. And he actually came to my book signing.
Nice.
So that was really nice, and he's very major, and I won't say his name.
No, yeah.
The stories in the book. And so I have that going. He's the entertainment attorney for the filmmakers and the actor that have the film in this book. And so it goes through my book, kind of details from the, everything I write in first person present tense. That's kind of my style. And so everything is seen from this author's point of view. And she's struggling, midlist, has several jobs, can't keep up. She's in debt over her head, and she's just midlist, not going anywhere. And lucky basically to still have a publishing contract, because they're very hard to obtain. Yeah. And her cinematographer best friend, who comes and stays with her when she's filming videos, comes down from New York to New Orleans and stays with the author. And she just looks at her and goes, you need a vacation, girlfriend. Come to Sundance. And the author goes, I can't afford it. Can't do it. Can't get there. And she calls her agent and says, can you find me a gig? And the agent finds her a gig interviewing the biggest actor on the planet. Nice. And he happens to have a movie. He happens to be in the movie that her best friend shot as the cinematographer. And so she gets the gig because of that. And so when she goes to Sundance, she's seeing everything that they're doing. So you get kind of a perspective from an author seeing, what it takes to have a film at Sundance. And she thinks she's going to be a fish out of water because, she doesn't know anything about filmmaking, even though her book was adapted to a low budget cable movie. And, but she didn't have anything to do with it. And that's, kind of her, she hated that movie. And, so it's kind of a joke throughout the book. And she gets there and she realizes she has a lot in common with these people after all, and they take her in. And she just kind of gets involved in everybody's drama. And there's some drama going on. And so she just kind of gets caught up in it. And so every day, I pulled out, when I started writing, I pulled out my old Sundance directory of everything going every day. And I pulled out the current party grid, which had all the parties, to go to. And I used that as my book outline.
That's smart. That is smart.
I just let the characters, have their day, and I didn't outline it at all. I just kind of let the characters tell me what they were doing every day, and then it kind of evolved, from there. And because she gets into a lot of their drama, the plot. It's kind of an ensemble, and everybody's plots are going, kind of all over the place, and then they converge, at the end. And so basically, I just borrowed, a little bit of my life and put it into her, and a lot of Sundance. And the cinematographer is based on two people that I know, Chandra Jarnigan and Palmer Enfield. And Chandra is a cinematographer on the hit CBS show East New York.
Wow.
And so she had read the book, and she called me and she goes, "I've got questions." Oh Lord, I didn't get the character right. She goes, "Oh no, it's fine. Love the book. That's not it." She goes, "I want to know who the director is." Because the author and the director have a romance.
Okay.
And she's like, "Who was it in our, entourage that was the director?" And I told her who he was, and which is not my writing partner. Maybe it was another guy that also was a filmmaker in his own right, and kind of had a little Sundance romance going there. And so that's him. She goes, I knew it was him." And I'm like, "Well, we were always holding hands and smooching. I mean,
yeah.
Come on, we were a little obvious."
Yeah.
And so that all of that made it into the book. And sadly, the Palmer Enfield, who was the inspiration for the with two people being the, kind of the inspiration for the cinematographer, she passed away in 2015. And we were going to make a short film, actually, and we were going to get it together. And she had a lot of childhood sickness, and I have as well. And so we kind of bonded over a lot of that. And she had Hodgkin's disease as a teenager, and so it did a number on her heart. And she was going in for heart surgery to have a valve fixed. And she goes, "This will give me great opportunity, to during the recovery phase to do pre-production on a short film, and then we're going to shoot it." And she passed away in the surgery. Heart just literally fell apart on the table, and she passed away. And so I honored her by naming the character, the cinematographer, after her, and I dedicated the book to her.
Nice.
And so that was kind of my way of making her immortal and getting her back to Sundance.
That's so. Oh, I love that.
That's.
I love that.
That's where that, so she was part of my entourage there, with Gendra had worked with her a lot. um uh, Palmer had done a lot of national ad campaigns for Hallmark, for Lincoln Cars. She did an ad campaign right after Katrina, where she filmed Harry Connick Jr. driving around in a Lincoln around New Orleans, and you saw those on TV. That was her.
Nice.
She was, she was a pretty big deal, and she lived in Philly. I know her family, so I've been in touch with her family. They've read the book and approved it.
Nice.
So, it was just a good way for me to honor her memory and, bring her back to Sundance, which is
nice.
what I did.
Tracy, the one thing I picked up on early in our conversation was when your first time out at Sundance, all of the things that you did to create a buzz, to start the conversation, to connect with people, those are all the things that young authors need to do when they write a book, or a film director when they're promoting their film, or a musician when they have a new song. All these people are looking for ways to connect and share what they do and build bridges with people that could help them or build community, right? And you demonstrated that early on at Sundance. I would love to kind of take some of your learnings from just putting yourself out there the way you did, and how can we tailor that, what you learned in the process, to help young authors and other people listening so that they can get out there and get their message out? Because I feel some people are afraid to do what you did at Sundance.
Well, a lot of what I do is basically sales. My dad was a salesman, so I learned from him how to not be afraid to be around people. My dad never met a stranger, and I haven't either. I can talk to anybody. I can go up to any celeb and talk to them at a party and get into conversation, and I do it very easily. They're just people.
Yeah.
They just want to talk too. They want to engage at a party just as much as you want to. And the best, my best advice is, if you see, if you've got a producer, or, you're at, somewhere where there are people, they're just people. And with the story of Roger Ebert, I already had a no. If I never ran into him, I wouldn't have had a no already. But I could have a yes if I go and talk to him. And if he gives me a no, then I started out with a no. So, no harm, no foul. But what if he says yes, which he did, and he came, he used the ticket. And, you can't be scared. You have to be your own advocate. You have to have a really good elevator pitch. At Sundance, the thing is you have to be on. And the days are very long. Like this past, Sundance, David Patterson and I are screenwriting partners, and we have a project that we've worked on and are currently shopping Hollywood with. And we would start our day about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it wouldn't stop until 3 a.m. nonstop. And you're constantly talking to people, and you have to be on. And it means, there's lots and lots of free booze at Sundance. There's a ton of it. And you don't really want to get drunk, because you never know who you're sitting next to that you can pitch your book to. Producers are constantly looking for content. And there's content in books, whether it's this one or your book or anybody's book. You've got content that people may be interested in. And when you're at a party like this, or you're at a book festival or anything, you need to be on. You need to have a game plan. If somebody says, "What's your book about?" you need to immediately be able, in about 3 or 4 sentences, to tell them what it's about. You can't just go, there's a witch, and there's people, and she's got magic, and things happen. You can't do that. because they're going to just walk on away. You've got to be engaging and have the right pitch. For our TV series, we had a pitch. And so, if we talked to, I had a producer, I sat in Dolly's bookstore with a producer for an hour. I missed getting to hang out with Jason Momoa because I was pitching our TV series. Well, my screenwriting partner, Dave, was being bodyguard to Jason Momoa. Because they asked him, Dave, my writing partner is also a stuntman. And so the lady that was at the music lounge, and they're friends, and he was there at the music lodge doing interviews, and she asked him to bodyguard because people were trying to get at him. And so Dave got to bodyguard. He kept sending me texts. And I'm like, I'm pitching right now. Like, I'm hanging with Jason Momoa. You should get here. I'm his bodyguard. And I'm like, and so by the time I got up to the music watch, Jason had already left. So I did not get
Come on.
with Aquaman, man.
Come on.
But I had a producer engaged in what we had. And come tomorrow afternoon, we happened to run into a big entertainment attorney out of Beverly Hills, and David and I talked to him, and he wants to introduce us to a major talent agency in Hollywood. Dave dropped his big agent, who really wasn't doing much for him anyway, out in Hollywood when the WGA went on strike.
Okay. Yeah.
And so this project's been agentless, and we have pitched it to some pretty big people. It keeps getting bigger, every time we pitch. And we pitched to the producers that did The Kids Are All Right and The Trial of the Chicago 7. We pitched to them. We pitched to some other people. And so, anytime you've got an opportunity, whether it's at a book festival or a book signing or, anything, an author event or whatever, it's just great to network because you never know when the next opportunity is going to hit you or who's interested. And so that's why you have to be on and just kind of know your audience, know your book, if they ask you a question about it, you need to know your book. You can't go, oh, I forgot who my characters are, which I tend to do. And so no, you have to have it together. And that's my best advice. That, and I think I don't have an agent right now, but I have a publisher, a real publisher, and which I got recommended to, and they published my book.
Yeah.
I think your best advocate instead of an agent these days is if you can get your book published by a small press, you need a publicist. And it costs money to write a book. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. It costs money. Younger people are putting their books out on, several different websites, and they get picked up. And I think Stephanie Meyer was that way. And I forget her name. There's a new girl that got picked up online, and she's becoming the up and coming thing. And she's a Gen Zer, I think. And she's gotten picked up. She's huge. And but for most of us, it's, you can query agents to death, and you can spend a couple of years waiting for a no and getting rejection after rejection, even though your book is really good. I mean, really good. Yeah. So you just have to, you kind of have to persevere. And if you want to spend 2 years of your life and then your book kind of becomes stale after that, that's great. But a small press will get it out fairly quickly, within 6 months to a year, and then hire a publicist. It's the best money you can spend. They will get you on NPR. They will get you on podcasts. They will get you, to the book festivals. This year, I'm actually going to be a guest at a Book Festival in Nashville this coming fall, and I'll be a guest of the bookstore that has a big booth. I'll be doing a panel there, and networking and getting publicity. And I just happened to be very good friends. I'd had a book with this particular book club that I'm a part of called the International Pulpwood Queens and Timber Guys Book Club Reading Nation. Her name is Kathy Murphy, and she has the largest book club in the world. And I happened to appear in 2010 with an up and coming author, and it was his first book. It was my first book. So I got to hang out with some great authors like Patty Callahan Henry and this particular author that was new. So we kind of just, all hung out together because we didn't know what to do. And his name is Jamie Ford, and Jenna Bush Hager picked him as a book, not only as her book of the month on the Today Show, but bought his movie rights to it.
Wow!
Turn it into a TV series, a limited TV series, and that's the Many Daughters of Afong Moy. And so now he's gone on to be really big. Pat Conroy was there that year, so I got to meet him and be friends with his daughter, and I've met his lovely widow. I got to meet them. I've been really blessed, and it's not because I've been lucky. I've worked at it.
Yeah.
You get your book reviewed by, book clubs, now I'm going to several book clubs this month, and, through the year, I'll be going to book clubs to go talk about my book and going to book signings and events. If you're doing a book signing, don't let Barnes and Noble just set up a table with a stack of your books and let you have at it. They won't advertise your book. You're going to have to do it yourself if you want people to come to your book signing.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is find indie bookstores and pair with another author and go on a book tour together. Do weekends. Most of us have day jobs. So, you leave on a Friday evening. You get to town 3 hours away. You do the book event on Saturday and you come home on Sunday.
Yeah.
A lot of people will put you up at home so you're not out of pocket.
Nice.
We can do those. And, they're happy to do events, and where you have a panel discussion and, one or two, 3 authors are there and you do a panel discussion together, and then you book sign, and then we'll have these independent bookstores will throw events for you.
Mm-hmm.
So Barnes and Noble's not necessarily, the way to go.
Yeah.
Independent bookstores, they're out there. I live in Shreveport, Louisiana. There's not an independent bookstore here. I'm probably just going to kind of be, under the radar here in my town. But, I'm having an event in Jackson, Mississippi. I'll have an event in Little Rock, Arkansas, Fayetteville, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Houston, in New Orleans. I'm gonna do an event with another author that I know down there. Fairhope, Alabama has a great bookstore called Page and Palette. They want to do something for me, and I'll do it with a couple other authors that I know. Ann Patchett has her bookstore up in Nashville. I'll be doing an event there. Independent bookstores want you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, you just make a call. If you've got a publicist, great. Let them make a call. But, pay the publicist to get you, on podcast or, NPR or things like that. Let that happen, and you can call the bookstore, if you've got an author friend, pair up with them and do it, put together an event at an independent bookstore on a Saturday afternoon, close to home. That's how to do it. And that's how, my buddies are doing it, and they're doing very well.
Yeah. That's great advice, Tracy. When listeners are coming to this podcast, they're coming for some great practical advice, and you've given so much. That's amazing. The other thing I love about some of the authors I've talked to is they're really contemplating having a podcast or being on more podcasts, because now we get to hear your voice. We get to connect with you as a listener, and it helps build community. And then you can use your podcast and say, hey, audience, I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas this weekend. For all my listeners in Dallas, I'll see you at the ABC place. Come by and say hi, right? So you're talking to your audience on a regular basis and building community.
There
use
are
any tools, right?
Podcasts that you can, all you got to do is Google. There's one for, that I know of, for writers, that their first book was published over the age of 50.
There you go.
Right. Lots of pocket, Kathy, who has the Pulpwood Queens. Tonight I'm doing, their Zoom, and, I'll engage, with readers and authors on that. The Pulpwood Queens, for $50, join her book club as an author. And authors have to pay $50 to join, and she will read your book. For $50, she will read your book. And so anybody that's actually paid to have a membership with the Pulpwood Queens as an author, they get first, they get read first and considered. She only picks 48 books a year, and only 12 are featured. And I happen to be March featured.
Nice.
And my first book was just a bonus book. And you engage with her. She does this big convention every year called Girlfriend Weekend, where all these big authors come. And I'm telling you, Pat Conroy's been there. Jamie Ford used to host it. Casey Cowers was the co-host this year, and he's got a book coming up that's going to be amazing. And it's a biography of Walter Tevis, and it's called Chasing the Queen's Gambit. Walter Tevis wrote The Queen's Gambit as a book, The Hustler, The Color of Money, The Man Who Fell to Earth. And he was a big fan and interviewed his family, and he's got this biography coming out. And so he's going to be big. That's going to be a very big book. Adriana Trigiani was a keynote. A lot of just great authors, go every year. And so it's a great way to engage with your readers. It's a lot of fun. You dress up. There's a big Saturday night ball. There's a Friday meet and greet. This year it was Bollywood, so we all dressed up, kind of Indian, and everybody looked beautiful. And then Saturday was the great big ball of hair ball, and which is fun. And this year's theme was Over the Moon, and I had on basically a big long tutu with lights underneath it, and a white Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon t-shirt that I think for the theme. And then I had a top hat with a tiara on it and a big old lighted moon and a cow jumping over it. And I won the tiara contest, by the way. And so, it was just an amazing, fun. You just get to dance and have fun. And then, during the convention, during the daytime, it's panels and the authors are speaking. And it's just fun. But at the same time, you're getting your book out, and, you're doing a book signing. I sold a lot of books while I was there. It's just fun. And, and they're not the only book club. That's probably the most fun book club, but, definitely, get involved with the book. She's got the biggest book club in the world, 800 chapters worldwide.
Yeah. So
your book does get read.
Yeah. So it takes a little bit of work, right? Is what you're saying. It takes a little bit of work.
It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. And it's not, having a novel these days is not cheap. You're not going to lie. You're going to have to spend some money. But, who knows? I mean, Jamie Ford got picked up, and he is now, major New York Times bestselling author. He got a $3 million 3-book deal.
Yeah.
So you don't, you never know.
Amazing. Okay. So Tracy, for people that are with us here right to the end, and thank you for listening, how do people connect with you? I'm sure there's going to be questions about these conferences. We'll have links in the show notes for what we talked about. But if somebody wants to reach out to you and they have a question or they have a comment.
I'm on Facebook. I have a website, TracyLeaCarnes.com. I'm on there. Facebook's the best place to go to talk to me. And I'll give you that link. And I'm easy to find. I'm on Twitter some, not really, a huge fan of Twitter, but Facebook's kind of, where I hang out. I'm on Clubhouse. There's an author's lounge on Clubhouse that's great. And you are on that. That's how I
connect with you. Right.
And, I'm starting to go back to Clubhouse. I kind of gave it up, and now I'm kind of liking it again. So, I'm old, I'm not so tech savvy. Sadly, I'm not on TikTok. I think I probably need to be, but, I don't,
It's hard, right? It's hard to know where to be.
Every week, I'm usually, on, Kathy's Zoom on, and you can go to thepulpwoodqueens.com and find all the information about her book club and all the links. She's on Facebook, and she posts every week. She posts those Zooms to YouTube, so she has a YouTube channel. Nice. And it's just it's a great place to engage with other authors and readers.
And if you're at Sundance, look for Tracy, because that's where the parties are all starting right around Tracy.
Always look for me. I'm always usually in a crazy hat. I'm pretty easy to find. Have a cup of coffee in one hand and heading, where I hit all the lounges and the parties. It's fun. I will be there next year. We kind of waited to the last minute, and we didn't get the greatest condo, and it was a little far from Sundance. It was expensive. And this year we're booking in July. We all said we're going to book in July. And, Sundance, any kind of film festival, Austen Film Festival, if you're into screenwriting and you've got a book or author, the Austen Film Festival is a writer's film festival. It is geared around the writer, and it's just a lot of fun. It's small, and there's not a whole lot of parties to go to. But if you get a producer's badge, you get to go to all the parties. And I talked to Ron Howard at one year, and some other prominent celebs, and hung out. And it's a great way to meet and greet and network, because if you think your book, could be a movie, that's where you need to go to network. Film festivals. Every state has a film festival, of some sort. Louisiana has New Orleans Film Festival. Texas has South by Southwest is about to start. That's a great festival. Fun. Tribeca, Toronto is fun. Sundance, Palm Springs has a film festival. Telluride has a great film festival. There's a lot of very big film festivals across the country, and there's Cannes Film Festival. You can go to Cannes Film Festival, you just gotta, find somebody that's probably done it and, tell you how to do it. Yeah. But, you can go to and attend all these film festivals, but if you're going to go to a film festival and do it right, get a publicist that knows that film festival so that we can put you on the party list, because it's the parties that you want to go to. And they're not like crazy parties like, woo, look at me. They're, hi, how are you? This is me. This is my book. They're business networking, things. For the most part, and that's what you want to do. You want to have a networking opportunity, and that's why I go to Sundance. And I love it.
Nice. So if you're at Sundance, then just head to the No Name Saloon and just wait. And Tracy will be there.
I will be, and it plays very prominently in this book. This is just a fun, for me, it's just a fun book. Of course it does, kind of give you the ins and outs of Sundance. My buddy, from LA, that's a, filmmaker, Tim, he says, I read it right before I came here. He goes, it was just a perfect prep for
Nice.
Sundance.
Nice.
He's like, it really got me, in the mood to come here, because I wasn't really, feeling it until I read the book. And he goes, now I'm ready for Sundance.
There you go. Which should be required reading, I think, for anybody who attends Sundance. I think that should be a rule.
So now,
What do you think?
honestly, I gave out swag bags, with my book, and coffee mugs and tote bags. So I kind of gave out at the girlfriend weekend. I gave out 2 really nice swag bags of stuff. So whatever you can do to promote your book, that's what you do.
Awesome. Tracy, thank you so much for being part of the podcast. I love talking to you.
Thank you.
So much great information for everyone listening. And I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on a copy of this book. It'd be great.
I will get you one.
Oh, come on. Thank you. That's awesome. Appreciate that.
Dave, thank you so much.
Very good. This was great. Thank you for subscribing and following. And you're listening this far in the podcast, so you are my best friend. I'm sorry, but you are now my best friend. So welcome. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. LivingTheNextChapter.com has a link on the website to our Facebook group. Are you on Facebook? Probably. You can go there and you can actually interact with our guests. You can talk to them. You can hear more about their journey, about their books. You can speak to them directly. You don't need me. You can come right over to LivingTheNextChapter.com, click on our Facebook link to our community. You can talk to other listeners of the podcast from around the world who are on Facebook. And, again, speak with our guests. Don't you want to speak to the guests you just heard from? Yeah, you can do that on Living the Next Chapter. Go over there. There's links to our Facebook group, and you're welcome to join. Thanks for listening.
Mindshift Power Podcast, the podcast for teenagers and those who work with them. There's a huge problem in America today. There's a very large disconnect between teenagers and the adults who work with them. I'm looking to bridge that gap with real, raw, honest conversation, not held back by the chains of political correctness. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. Want to understand teenagers today? Listen to this podcast. This podcast is for teens in the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, go to fatimabay.com/podcast or just look for Mindshift Power Podcast on any listening platform. I look forward to you being a faithful listener.